Why, hello. Welcome to today's lessons on Transformers. Okay, transformations. But it's close. It's Transformers. We take something and we're going to move it around and change it slightly from what it was. So when we're looking at these, we're going to focus today and on your quiz with quadratic functions. And we'll get a lot more into quadratics. But quadratics are just graphs that look like a U. They're parabolas, and they're either concave up or down. So you could see them either way here. We're not going to see sideways ones. Those are different types of functions dealing with square roots. So we're not dealing with those. So we're going to focus on those. But you could take anything. I could take a line and say, all right, I want to move it up 5 and right 7. So we're going to focus on the movement of those, looking at them as graphs, looking at them as functions and how we write them. So to start off with them, I'm going to say like you have something that we call a parent function. And the parent function is just the starting or beginning function. And for most part, ours parent function is going to be f of x equals x squared. That is the graph that is just, it's at 0, 0 is what we call the vertex, but it's just going to be a normal U. And your graphs don't, the perfection of how they look is okay. We're worried about how they're moving left, right, up, down, those kind of things there. So that's what we're going to start with here. So if I wanted to move this graph up or down, all we're going to do is add a number after the x squared. So if I had f of x equals x squared plus 2, that means I would take this graph and move it up 2 spots. That's it. If I wanted to move it down, guess what you're going to put in? A negative. X squared minus 4. Well, I'd go down 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'd have the same U. It just took this original parent function and it's going to move it down 4 spots. So up or down is anything just outside of there. Plus 2 is up 2, minus 4 is down 4, plus 7 would be up 7, and so on. So that gives us what we would call a vertical shift. Well, what about when we have a horizontal shift or transformation or translation? So if I were to look at that, it's going to look slightly different. So I want both of these in the screen where you can see one is x squared plus 2, the other is x plus 2, all of it squared. A gust of wind, don't want to see anything blow away here. So if you have something in parentheses, now we're not going to plug in every one of these, but if I were to graph this, this would move not right 2, it would actually move to the left 2. So when you see it in parentheses, it is going to move the opposite of what you see. So instead of plus 2 being right 2, this is left 2. So if I had f of x equals x, I'm going to use this same number of minus 4 squared. Because it's in parentheses, I know it's going to be a horizontal shift, but it's not going to move left 4. It's actually going to move right 4 spots. So that's the difference of in parentheses is a horizontal shift, meaning left or right, but that means it'll move the opposite of what you see. As opposed to, if it's just outside of there, those would move up or down. So I can look at some of these without even graphing it and know then what the transformation is going to be. For example, if I said, all right, f of x equals x squared, that's our parent function. And a lot of times they'll use it as, all right, g of x, because it's a new function. And let's say we had g of x is equal to x minus 3 squared plus 2. So I have two things going on here. I have something in parentheses and something outside of parentheses. Well, in parentheses is our horizontal shift. So if I said, well, describe the transformation. Well, Minus 3 wouldn't be right. It's the opposite. That would be left 3. And the plus 2, anything outside of the x squared, is going to tell us a vertical shift, in this case of up 2. Well, how come this isn't different? Well, the vertical is as you see it. Plus 2 you would expect up 2, and that's exactly what it is. Okay. Now, what if I had a different one that said, all right, what if you had g of x equals f of x plus 2? You're like, what the heck? Don't worry about the f in here. It's just saying take the f function and we're going to take it in parentheses x plus 2. Well, that's going to give us a shift of the opposite because it's in parentheses. So if I see plus 2, you'd normally think plus is right. Well, nope. Horizontal ones tell us that it should be the opposite of what you see. So this would move actually left 2 spaces. Okay. So oftentimes we're going to have a graph. Let's take a look at it this way. So those were, if I give you a function, how would I move it? Or what would the movements be? What if I have a graph and it says, okay, the original one is x squared. And here's the new graph. I want you to write it, and I'm going to make it very clear as to where it is. And here's the new vertex. And the vertex is just that bottom point of the U. So if I'm looking at that bottom point of the U, and I would say, well, where did this move? Well, it moved 1, 2 spots to the right and 1, 2, 3 up. So I'm just going to jot that down. I still want to write the function with it, though. So it says 2 right and 3 up, but now I need to write a new function and say, okay, g of x equals. Well, because it moved right, I'm going to have something in parentheses. That shows a horizontal shift. The up 3, I'm going to put plus 3. So notice I skipped what's in the parentheses right now. I'm going to go back to it. So right 2, we would think 2 is a plus 2, but no. Remember, anything in those parentheses, that horizontal shift we're actually going to write is the opposite of what we see. So instead of writing x plus 2, it'd be x minus 2 squared and then plus 3. All right, what if I had a different one here and it just, all it did is it looks like it moves down 5. So I like the idea of, I'm just going to jot down first and say, okay, down 5. Well, I'm going to make this h of x just because we already had a g. Well, it did not move left or right. So that means no parentheses. I just have x squared. But it did move down 5 spaces. So if I'm moving it down 5, it would just have a minus 5 in there. Okay? So you could see we going back to here of, all right, what if I'm given a function and you have x minus 3 squared plus 2? In parentheses is moving left or right, opposite of what you'd think. So left 3. Oh, I did that one. I hope you are yelling at me as you went and did this. That one should have been right 3. So I said opposite, right? This one I had correct is left 2. Okay, what if I'm given a graph? Well, it's the same idea. I count where I'm going. But then from there, in parentheses, I need to write the opposite. Okay. Outside, the up or down is as you'd expect it. Okay. So if you can right now in your books, you might need to pause for a second, but go to page 120, and I want to look at numbers 26 to 30 very quickly. So give some more examples here, and now I'm going to put those in here where it has some functions that we now have. It says the parent functions is f of x is x squared. What if I move things x minus 7 squared plus 1? Well, parentheses means we're doing the opposite. So minus 7, you would think left 7, but that would mean right 7. Plus 1 would mean up 1. If you haven't yet, I'd pause and try to do the rest of these before you come back and see what the answers are. So here, f of x plus 4, it's in parentheses, even though it's written with the f in there. Still the same idea as we'd see here. If I'm saying plus 4 in here, well, it's in parentheses, so I'm thinking that this is moving it the opposite, which would be left 4. 28, x plus 9 squared. So in parentheses is horizontal, and I'm moving the opposite. So instead of thinking right 9, it would actually be left 9. Minus 0.2 would just be down 0.2. It doesn't matter if it's a decimal. And then last one of these, I have x minus 2 squared, or x minus 2, sorry, minus 3. So the in parentheses gives us the opposite. So minus 2 would actually be right 2. And then the minus 3, the outside the parentheses would be, whoops, started writing down, or up, I don't know why, would be down 3. Okay? All right, so that gives you more of that idea with it. We'll practice more of these too, moving it around, but a transformation really is just you take something and you move it right, left, up, down. We need to know how to write it. Parentheses means left, right. Outside the parentheses means up, down. And then we need to know how to write it after a graph as well. So what happens when I look at it? Okay, is it moving right, left, up, down? And then if I have a graph, how do I rewrite it? Parentheses tells left, right. Outside tells us up, down. Okay, have a great day.